Welcome to the Art of Hobbiness.
Welcome to the Art of Hobbiness. Okay. We kind of ended with talking about like how we were going to go about finding our hobbies and like the guidelines we were going to follow.
Yeah.
So, Tam, have you thought about, maybe a list of a few things that you are interested in trying?
I did. Okay. So I referenced kind of like our themes of like what we thought was like kind of like helpful points to consider when doing a hobby. And one of the things that like came up to me is I was like, okay, well, how can I have, maybe I would feel better about finding a hobby that didn't make me feel like I was wasting my time. Because I told you that was my biggest struggle is I thought that I would feel like I'm wasting time. Right. So I was like, okay, what's a hobby that would maybe be helpful to my current family, like my close people, that made me feel like I could kind of segue a little bit into this chapter of hobbiness. So currently my father-in-law, my husband, and my oldest daughter are fly fishers. I've gone with them to fly fish, and I can tell you, don't appear to have any interest.
Yeah. Is that what they're doing today?
That's what they're doing today.
Wow.
They're just out there just fly fishing away, right?
I didn't know you could do that
you
around
can,
here.
yeah. And
Gotcha.
like they got, here's the other thing is it's like there's a whole fit that you wear for it. And
I would think you'd be all about that.
I'm all about like an outfit.
Yeah.
Like you can dear listeners, you can probably assume that any hobby I'm going to choose probably has a fit coordinated with it because that's just me. I feel like I get energized from getting into character.
Yeah.
I feel like the outfit helps me get into character. Yep. So anyway, being out there, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not sure I'm really a fly fisher, but I learned that like there's actually people who make these little flies. Like it's not putting a worm.
Oh.
Like fly fishing's not putting a worm on a reel and throwing it out there.
Right. I have seen those
thought
before. They're like little feathery things that look like, I guess, bugs or something.
First
I don't
of all,
know.
some of them are adorable.
Yeah.
Like they're just like the cutest. Like there was one the other day that I saw that was like disco ball like, and I was like,
really?
That's totally my speed.
Yeah.
Like, can I do something that's kind of like glittery and beautiful like this?
Yeah.
But there's this level of like entomology about it that I kind of piqued my interest a little bit. So in looking at these flies, I just was like, oh, I'm just going to kind of look at a video of like, how does one make a fly? Mm-hmm. First of all, just the tiniest little thing, just like sitting on like this little pedestal, right? Mm-hmm. But like watching them like wrap like the wire like around like the feathers and the way that they kind of like pulled the feathers and kind of laid them back to kind of create, I mean, they try to make it look like actual like nymphs and things, which I learned that word, nymphs.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a new word that I learned. It has something to do with bugs. But I promise you, I'm going to learn more about those nymphy guys. And like, it just was like, actually, it was really satisfying just watching the video. And, ASMR is like a big word, or an acronym that people are really into. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is really satisfying to watch. And it would kind of scratch the itch of helping my family a little bit. I don't think flies cost that much.
Right.
But, maybe just me just like feeling like I'm contributing to like a hobby that clearly has engulfed a large portion of my family. It makes me feel like, hey guys, what about me?
Yeah.
It helps me feel like I'm still into it, but maybe I bring a different realm to it. So mine is going to be tying flies. So I will be documenting me like diving into that world. And I hope to kind of like post some of it to our socials, like to kind of like give like
that'd be cool to see.
Yeah.
If it's that like intricate. Like that'd be interesting.
To kind of give our viewers kind of like, so who might be interested in fly tying, kind of like what I've kind of trying, what like tools I'm using, the time it takes to do it.
I didn't even know that was like a thing.
I had no idea. It was literally just
me. What kind of goes along with your craftiness, which it seems like you've dabbled in a little.
It does seem to be like where I go to.
Do you think, one thing I think about though is like, do you think that, you're doing that for other people? Because I know we've talked a lot about not doing things for other people. Not saying you shouldn't do it, but just something to consider.
That's as we go really good point.
Along on this journey.
You're right, because you're spot on. Because I even said it like 3 times in this little speech about how like it's to benefit my family. You're so right, and like that. I think that's gonna be something that I'm really gonna like. Really have to focus on, you know, maybe that's another key, like not only like making sure that I don't feel like I've just wasted time, but also making sure that I try to find something that truly brings value to me and not others.
Yeah. And I think it's a cool place to try and start. For sure. It's like you want to take, inspiration from things in your life, but just something I was thinking about that you might want to just keep an eye on.
Excellent point. Yeah, that's definitely something to reflect on. And again, it's like talking these things out with you, I feel like is really kind of helping me learn a lot about myself because you're right. Like right out of the gate, I put myself right into the hole of trying to do something to benefit my family.
Yeah.
I love my family.
Yeah, I know. And you have the most beautiful
right?
family.
We both do.
We
but like as moms, it's so hard to even try, like even as us, like we are focused. Like we are going to find something for ourselves.
Right,
and we're going to do this. And then I'm like, and then on today's episode, I'm going to make flies to benefit my family while they fly.
So
I'm stuck.
I think you should do it. I think you should do it because you might love it.
Well, sure.
And it could. Who knows where it might lead?
Right.
So
could that lead to an Etsy shop where I dump like 10 flies that I don't know what to do with?
Stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for my Etsy store. Gosh, what a great point. That's something
cool.
definitely to reflect on. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, no problem.
Already.
Well, so I've been thinking about mine too, and I feel like mine is like not as exciting. It's I don't know. Well, it's just like
tell me what it is so I can tell you it's exciting.
All right. So as you know, like I am not domestic at all. Like I literally like my
It's
version.
one of my favorite things about you. It's one of my favorite things about you.
I've spent all my time learning to be like a professional and like be a boss lady that I have not spent any time on learning how to do like I don't ever cook. Like my husband does all the cooking, which is wonderful. Like I love him for it.
Right.
But it also makes me feel like I can't, like provide for myself.
Right.
So my version of like dinner, if he's gone, is like a bowl of cereal for me and the kids. I
love it. What's your go-to cereal? Do you have a cereal mug? Because I have a cereal mug.
I'm not like you. And then I know you love the cereal too.
It, Erin.
I am like, I do try to be.
As my dentist, she's able to tell you how much I love my cereal.
I try to be a little healthy even though it is just cereal.
So you're not doing Oreo O's?
No, we're doing like shredded wheat or something,
God.
So my kids love
shredded wheat? Are you 70? Where's the sugar? Where is the shape?
Why did you get the frosted shredded wheat?
Oh my God.
Or there's this like
frosted shit.
Anyway, so
not ready to move on. I want to talk about it.
Well, try to like give the idea of healthiness in our house. So
you are the
so back to so like that is my idea. Like if he's gone, it's like turkey sandwiches or shredded.
Does Adam eat shredded wheat frosted?
I mean, he does because that's all we buy. So that or Cheerios, so plain Cheerios.
That one at least has a shape.
Yeah.
That one is circular.
True.
It'll actually stay on the spoon when you scoop it.
Yeah. Well, you do one shredded wheat, one little biscuit.
Stop. Oh, wait. So it's like a shape?
Yeah, the little squares.
I was
not
picturing
the granola type. And that's like not like shredded up. It's like the little like rectangles.
I'm literally picturing like
you've never had frosted shredded wheat.
I just said my go-to is Oreo O's.
Okay.
I'm more of like a, like if you remember, there was a point in time where Oreo O's actually, for our folks out there who are the diehard Oreo O's fans, there actually used to be marshmallows that came with Oreo O's.
Really?
And I'm fairly confident they were pulled from the shelves because of their unhealthy level. And then they re-released them, only this time without the marshmallows. And let me tell you,
really disappointed.
The disappointment, Erin. Yeah. I was just like, this is great, but now my milk doesn't taste like the creamy center of an Oreo. It scratches the itch, but it doesn't fulfill the needs.
So I think one hobby you could consider is, like nutrition class or something. Just saying. Side note.
I'm like,
I think it could be really interesting for you.
Where did those extra pounds come from? I don't know.
Yeah. Did you know that I actually got a degree in nutrition?
You got a degree in nutrition?
Yeah, that was my bachelor degree.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, being a dentist. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that was like a really interesting like portion of your education? Or I
actually really enjoyed it. Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Like, I wish there was more. I would have stuck it out if there would have been more opportunities for jobs. I felt like I pivoted to dentistry for several reasons, but one of them was like just more opportunities. You know? Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Anyway,
we segued right out of that.
We totally segued.
What were we talking about again? Hobbies.
My hobby.
Let's just take it all back to me.
Back to the point was, and I'm not like I don't cook. I have no idea how to cook. So I know this is like all over media and like everybody's super into it, but like I've always loved like how you were describing making flies. Like I always love watching people making bread and pasta and stuff on social media. I think it's really satisfying. And I thought like it seems like I would be interested in trying that, like working with my hands and getting, you know, messy and like, you know, just like having that result of like getting to, you know, it seems like it'd be very satisfying. So mine is going to be like trying like bread making, baking, bread making, and just see where that goes.
Oh yeah, I could totally see you being in like the baking era because I feel like, well, first of all, you mentioned like how like you like working with your hands, which totally makes sense because you're a dentist. So like that's like you're like in your hands, like in people's mouths. But also like just knowing you, like you are like a perfectionist. Like it's one of my favorite things about you because like I know that like whenever I go into a journey with you, like I know that like you're putting your heart and soul into it. It's never like you half-assing anything ever. Can we cuss on this podcast?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure.
I just like threw that out there. So sorry.
Yeah, no, but I appreciate
We should have talked about that before we started filming.
I think it's fine.
Like I feel like you're just like a wholehearted person, right?
Thanks,
And so I can totally see like I feel like again, I'm also not a baker cooker that falls on Pat. It's my Pat's hobbies. But Pat it like always talks about how like cooking would be a great one for me to go into because like it's just like, you know, you just throw some things together and just try it as you're going along to see if you like it. Whereas baking seems like it's really like technical. Like
I agree. I think that's part of it, like what you're saying. I think that idea of like having to follow a recipe, like I can do that.
Yeah.
And
seems totally up your realm.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. And, you know, I think it'll be fun to maybe like get the kids involved with like the dough and things like that. 'Cause they love to obviously make messes. So, you know, which that piece of it I'm like a little cringy about because I'm like, I don't know if I can handle all that mess.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll see how it goes.
So then maybe like you start this by like trying to do the baking yourself to the point where you feel a little bit more like comfortable in it. Cause I feel like if I'm trying to picture myself baking dough, I feel like if it's too chaotic in the beginning, like I'm just going to shut down.
I think that's a good point.
Right.
Valid, yeah.
And so
totally.
maybe it's like you started off with just like yourself getting some basics down, just so you're confident in it. So then that way, when you pull the kids in and a little chaos ensues, it doesn't totally derail you because you kind of already know what to do next.
Yeah.
As opposed to like when you're starting, you don't really know what to do next.
Yeah.
And then your kids are like, but we do.
Yeah.
And it's not. But that just makes total sense. I can totally see you in your sourdough era.
I'm not going to, I don't know if I'm going to, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Well, so, okay, you talked about baking bread. Is sourdough going to be the first one you do, you think?
I think I might try sourdough. You know, I know that that's like its whole own little niche.
Is it really?
It seems like it's got like, that's like a whole world.
Well, tell me about it. I don't know anything about bread.
I mean, it just seems like people that do sourdough, like they're like die hard and like making the perfect sourdough. And there's like,
how do you make the perfect sourdough?
I mean, I don't know.
Is it like its shape or is it like its flavor?
Oh, I think it's like, I mean, I really don't know too much about it yet, but like,
you're diving
I do, right? I
Give me all the answers now, Erin.
Yeah, I think it's like the texture and like the flavor and all the things that come along with it. And, you know, you have, I looked into it a little bit, like you have to have this like sourdough starter that you take care of in the fridge and you pull from it every time you make a loaf of bread and then you feed the starter. And so
it's almost kind of like you have a new baby.
Kind of. I mean, something you take care of
That's
like ongoing. And I think if you don't feed it, it will die, like the sourdough starter.
So it kind of plays on your mom skills. You get to be a mom again,
so it's
which
something
already awesome
I'm pretty good about like, seeing on like a
things
schedule. So anyway, that's like a whole thing. So I don't know. That's a little overwhelming. I don't know. I may try that. But there's obviously lots of types of bread you can make or other baking. You know, I thought it'd be fun to try to make pasta. So I got to like kind of narrow it down. I think that maybe I should just pick one thing to try. And sourdough might be the good place to start.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of opinions about that out there. So
yeah. Is it like a lot of overhead to kind of get that started? Like, does a starter like, can you just build like, can I just like walk upstairs right now and be like, I have a starter? Or do you have to?
You can make your own, but a lot of places sell them, and that's the route I would go. And it's not very expensive. Yeah, it might be like under $10.
Oh,
yeah. So you can go to like, I know there's a local bread company by me that they do like their whole thing is like all sourdough products, and so you can go buy part of like their starter. and they'll give it to you in a little jar, and you take it home, and then you add to it to like
Okay.
make more. So
like, how long does a starter live for? Do you know any of that yet, or is that part
I
of
don't
like
know.
your exploring
That's
this
a good
hobby?
question. I really don't know much else about it. So
I'm very fascinated by the starter. I feel like I'm
Okay.
just going to be messaging you random questions of like, is your starter still alive?
All right,
Have you
so
named
I
it?
guess I have to do that, huh?
Can you name your starter? I'm going to have a lot of
Ooh,
questions
okay,
about this. I
okay,
feel
okay.
like just like hear you talk about it, I'm going to be really interested
Okay.
to hear more about it. Cause like
Yeah.
maybe even like in you trying hobbies, maybe it'll be like
Spark your interest.
spark my interest. Yeah,
yeah.
because obviously I've become obsessed about your starter baby. And I feel like I'm going to want to know more about your starter baby. What are its likes, its
Yeah,
dislikes?
yeah.
Does it stay up late? Does it go to bed? Does it sleep well? Tell me more about this.
Well, all right. I guess you just decided for me then. I guess I'm going to go down the sourdough path.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
do. I want to know
Okay.
more about it.
Okay.
I need you to document it for me
Okay.
too. I want
All
some
right.
visuals. I'm a very
Okay.
visual learner.
I'll send you some pictures.
I appreciate
and
it.
some video.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
great.
Okay, cool. So, well, I think we have our first hobbies that we're going to try.
I think
I'm
you're
pretty
right.
excited about it.
So
I think
maybe-
yours sounds really cool too.
I
so.
think yours sounds great.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe like in our next episode, what we do is just kind of report back and
Yeah.
like break down everybody, like what we did in these
I
and
think it's a great idea.
kind of give them some feedback on some of the lessons that we learned or maybe some of the things we didn't.
Okay, yeah.
Wish we would have
Do you
tried.
think like a time frame of a couple weeks would be enough time for you to start this hobby?
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that should give me enough time.
Okay.
I've ordered the supplies.
All right.
Maybe I should share what supplies I ordered too, just in
Ooh,
case then anybody that'd be interested would know, be able to kind of like see
Give
the
you s-
resources I use.
Yeah.
And maybe even like some fly experts out there. If you guys could like send me any information
Ooh,
of
yeah.
like your favorite tools to use, or maybe like what my thing is, I don't know like what's like a starter fly for somebody like me. Like
Oh,
what's
yeah.
an easier fly to make and what are
mhm.
like the more like
Mhm.
like complicated ones. So if
Mhm.
anybody can give me feedback on like this is a good one to start on, this is a good one to kind of like work your way up to, that would be great. Any type of feedback I can get from our listeners would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, I
Mhm.
could use the same. I think like if you have any tips on bread making, or I will post my
Starter
probably
baby?
my starter babies and my
Just want your
flunders
starter
because I'm sure
baby.
I will need tips and tricks. So
Can we have joint custody of your starter baby?
Stop it.
I can't. I love it.
So, this is exciting.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome.
I think this is a great time to sign
Yeah,
off and let
for
our
sure.
listeners know that we
Yeah.
appreciate you joining us at the Art of Hobbiness today. And we'll be breaking into our hobbies and we're reporting back as we continue to look for our journey and figuring out who we are.
Absolutely.
Erin, who
We
are
hope-
we?
who knows? Well, to be determined. So
Give it
we
a-
hope you join us next time. Thanks
Sounds
so
great.
much.
Bye.